Hello, it's Jang here with a look at the LEGO Bionicle Umarak the Hunter. This is the big bad guy for the season. Definitely taller than, and in my opinion, more menacing looking than Colta was. And even for its size, I'd say that it's particularly menacing looking, particularly strong and evil looking and dark. Partly because of the color scheme, partly just because of the choices of all the spikiness and how they set this one up. They use shadow trap halves for shoulder armor. They've got these huge antler horns up here. The return of lots of spikes around the thing I think is good with the dark red color, including dark red Borak eyes used down on the lower legs, and check out those lower legs. This is more of a continuation of homage to the original, more Technic-based Bionicle sets, and it's got the double bone system there for extra stability. It's kind of fun to watch those kind of move around as you just go through different motions with these. You can kind of get a little bit of separation in there if you get too wild with it. You move these things around quite a bit. You do need to keep the bone pieces on the back kind of aligned roughly correctly, but it's easy to put stuff back. But just provides a nice amount of extra stability while adding in kind of detail for the sake of detail. You know, there's still a little bit of kind of goriness about this, where it's not entirely organic. It feels a little bit skeletal. I think it works. I think it fits in. The trans bright green accent color is very striking, but it works for me as well. What's most awkward to me on this entire figure is the print on the chest armor piece, just because it has the mouth there, and I don't know, it just doesn't really go with the whole thing. Maybe it'll make a little bit more sense once the episodes actually come out. I really like what they did with these the shadow trap shoulder pieces. You can actually angle them around. They're set up kind of like pauldrons, and you can change the angles of them up and down. Right now I don't have much room to go up and down, but you can kind of angle it in like that to get a little bit of a different look. Angle it back like that. See, depending upon how you set it up, you get different looks out of it. You can get good coverage, you know, really covering up that shoulder area, because without those it would look really kind of skinny and not have a lot of space up there. I mean, there would be a lot of open space up there. The shoulders, the joints themselves are actually a little bit low, but this is nice. Goes together well and just establishes kind of a framing of the head. And the headpiece itself is probably my favorite thing on this model, which is a good thing. It's a really important, point. It establishes the character of the whole thing. This is nice. They went with two colors, with black and the trans bright green, but they didn't blend them together too much. They have definite edges and seams that define where the two colors come together. It's more obvious when you take it off. Look at that. That looks like a real collectible item. It looks like something that you would really want to see discovered in this fantasy world. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I really like that. That has a level of believability for me, seeing the physical thing, the actual mask here in front of me, that is incredibly high. Now from the back, Umarak doesn't look all that good, but a saving grace here is the level of consistency. It doesn't have strange, awkward gaps. It just looks like it's thin. It doesn't look like it has the mass that you see from the front, but at least it doesn't look like you get some boniness and then some massy area and then some boniness and then gaps between them. They went with the very small armor piece on the back rather than going with something thicker. It's probably more structural and getting the Unity piece to work and everything, but I'm glad that they did that because at least it doesn't feel unfinished back here, other than just the fact that, you know, you've got some blue and some red pins and axles around that are kind of weird in color. As with all of them this season with the bigger sets, they've got the knob back here, which gives you the side-to-side action, right? The waist articulation action. I'm glad to have waist articulation, but that doesn't work with a bow. However, they do give this guy an additional blade weapon, so he could use just this. It's pretty simple, right? But at least that would work with the slashing action. This other thing that he's carrying off to the side is just an extra ammo clip for his bow. That's kind of cool and a good way to actually get those extra studs onto the thing. And the bow is set up nicely. You know, it's got the stud shooter, the 6 shooter there, and it has the ability to hinge at the hands with the type of attachments that they use there. So he can do like this, turn his head over to the side, and get kind of a pretty convincing pose pretty quickly and pretty easily. As for actually drawing it up though, you get limited very quickly. There may be some poses, but this is about the best that I was able to get with just a little bit of experimentation. But you can line that up pretty well. That's pretty cool. Set also comes with the golden mask of creation, which is very, very important, very, very collectible. And it looks exactly like I was expecting it to look based on our early peeks at this in the tune and all. And it fits on just in the normal way. Let's try it out. We'll pop this one off and see, you get the trans neon reddish orange color underneath, which is nice. And then this actually has enough space around the edges so it still is able to fit around the attachments for the antlers. So you can leave the antlers on if you want to. Fits around there pretty nicely. Covers up the mouth part of the jaw, so you're really just seeing just the mask. You're not seeing any of the face of the headpiece underneath. Now for the Unity combination, they recommend that you combine this guy with Uxar because of the color scheme. I mean, I'm sure they'll probably come up with a fancier explanation for why this element was chosen, but let's be honest, it's because the colors match, right? You can combine this with any of the creatures, and this does work with the Mask of Creation. Can fit over there. I mean, none of these really fit together completely, right? They're kind of setting on top, but that's the general idea there. See, that works. And you got the wings, and with this one, you still have the ability to flap the wings, so you get the ability to fly like this if you want to. And you can do the same thing with the original mask as well. You don't need to use the Mask of Creation for this one, so pop this one back on. Probably looks a little bit better just because of again, with the colors. And rather than having the gold and the silver together, you just get the silver going against the black and the green. Yeah, not too bad, because that's not on there absolutely perfect, but yeah, these never do really snap completely into place. But that's the general idea, and like I said, you can just put any of the creatures back here because that's how Unity works. Now, one last thing. Umarak can deploy shadow traps, or at least he can deploy a shadow trap by removing his shadow trappings, his shoulder pieces, which are just connected right there. It's a little bit rough. It's difficult to get it to work without the attachment parts coming off, so I'll just go ahead and slide all that off. And that gives you these two halves, right? Good start. But that shows you just how derpy he looks without those shoulder pieces. Really gets very lacking like that. I don't know. It's still okay though. It's not that bad. It has a little bit of a strange set of proportions, but I could actually come to appreciate that. But anyway, you end up with these two shadow trap halves. Take the tail end off. You actually have to remove that here. I guess you could kind of set that up a little bit better by starting it out on this side, but connect those two together, and now there's a bunch of stuff that's missing. you need to have these pieces attached to your model somewhere. They don't tell you where, but you can find places for them, but it's just not that great the way that it works out. So that's a shadow trap with no legs. Well, go over to your original model and just take some toes off. Start pulling off toenails, because that's what you need. There we go. Voila, a little shadow trap has been made by Umarak. And it can close like that, and you're left with a down-armored Umarak with no toenails. Not sure if it's worth it. So that's Umarak the Hunter. Obviously, I'm not a total fan of some of the gimmicks, but the figure on the whole I like very much. The color scheme I think is pretty good. The standard mask I think is awesome. And of course, it's great to get the Mask of Creation. Let me know what you think about this set, about this character, by leaving a comment on the video down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.